So I think first thing I need to do this time is I need to lay it on here with the center line lined up, then tip it to glue it. So I'm thinking crazy glue here. Actually, you know what? I think I'm going to do super glue here, but what I think I'm going to do is I'm not going to use accelerator. It gives me just a little bit longer open time for adjustment. Now let's get center line. Center line. Okay. Center line. That looks a hell of a lot better. Okay. All right. Now, I have not used this new little router. I got a trim router for Christmas from my beloved Mrs. Unit, and I think that's what we're going to employ for this. I've not used it yet, but it's a router, just as scary as any other router, just in a honey badger size instead of a tiger size like that one. Anyway.
Take a deep breath. You'll be all right.
Ooh, it's got a light. Ah! Okay. Oh, safety third. No, safety first. I'm a safety guy. Gotta. Well, let's see here. Close. currently sitting at 7/8 of an inch. I think I'm gonna stop there. I'd rather have to do a little extra work to adjust down to depth than have to glue a shim in because I screwed up. So I think that now brings us to the scariest part. The way this router sled is designed, and you've got that 1/2 inch plexiglass base that it rides on. And of course that's so you can see down in there and follow what you're doing, but at the same time that takes away 1/2 inch of your depth of cut, and you also have the other things to consider here. Now I'm gonna wait to plug it in until I get it set where I want it. I can't drop it down any further, because if I do, then it's hitting the project. I mean, like, I could probably drop it down a 1/4 of an inch, 3/8 of an inch. But anything farther than that, and it's going to be lower than the bottom of the rails, and it's going to be crashing into the project, which I don't want either. So I may end up taking it apart at some point and making these riser pieces 3/8 of an inch wider, just so I can get down in there a little more. Okay, sorry, battery. Anyway, as I was saying, I can adjust it down a little bit more, I think, and I might do that at some point. But honestly, if I get any farther down in there than about 3/8 of an inch, I'm going to be crashing into the project. So I'm a little bit limited there with how much height adjustment I can get out of that. So yeah, it may require multiple router bits to accomplish this. Well, we're going to start out with my 1/4 inch bearing cutter, template bearing cutter, because I think that'll get me down in there enough to get the cut started. And then once I get the cut started, I do have a 1/2 inch chuck bearing cutter that goes a little bit longer because it's a 1/2-inch chuck. I don't want to start out with that one because it's too deep of a cut for that template to start out with. So it's going to take a little bit of horsing around, but we'll get it. Always try to get the project work area as clean as possible before you're gonna make a mess out of it. That sounds stupid. But anyway, I have to masking tape and super glue the body down to my workbench, and a whole bunch of the sawdust and debris and crap like that on the workbench top is going to interfere with me getting a good clean gluing surface. Also the fact that it could potentially damage the underside of the guitar and stuff like that, which we definitely don't want to happen. So
You okay?
I'm gonna die from it. As my high school football coach used to tell me, it's a long way from your heart. So that one lines up there and there. So this one lines up there and there. Hope that wind's gonna settle itself a little bit here before this evening. I'm gonna put recycling out tonight. Rather not have the recycling end up in the neighbor's yard. Alright, well. Okay. Okay. Remember, kids, if you ever have to grind away, plow away, chisel away, or route away your center line, that you draw it back on there. Okay. There's that. Well, I'm not 100% sure how far up I have to put this. I'm thinking about most of my Les Pauls is usually about an inch from the bottom of the carve to where it finally ends up at the edge. It's kind of a little bit of a recurve right at the edge. And judging about the rest of the body here, that looks about right, pretty close. For here versus here versus here. This side and this side look pretty close to even. Center line. So I'm going to keep doing this, and we're going to come back here pretty soon. This is boring. You're not going to watch most of this because I'm going to edit a lot of it out anyway. So we're going to stop the camera for a little bit, charge batteries, run the heat for a little bit, try and warm it up out here a little bit again, and yeah, we'll be back shortly. All right, so while you were away charging, I got the pickup cavities routed out. I got the steps for the carve drawn on the body, so they're ready to go. I got the router sled all put together, ready to go. I killed my little router. Not sure how I went about doing that, but it is not happy with life right now, so I'm sending it in for warranty because it's brand freaking new. Sometimes that happens. Every once in a while you get a brand new product and you got the one dud that didn't meet or snuck through quality control or whatever. But anyway, I still stand by Bosch. I still think they're a great product, a great company. I'm not trying to crap on them or anything like that right now. Just my little router is not happy with life at the moment. So anyway, it's going back. But anyway, I got the pickups routed, neck cavities routed, everything's got its angle. I've got the steps drawn on. We're ready to start doing that. Okay, well, welcome back everybody. Fairly decent weather we're getting here today for March, mid-March. Oh, I guess it's early April now.
April.
Good grief, my year's getting away from me. April 2nd. It's like 55 degrees. I'm like running around in shorts and t-shirts out here in Iowa.
I won't go that far.
No, but a lot of the snow is gone, except for the places we were piling it up that are still in the shade, and that's still there, but it's more brown than white at this point, so that's a good sign. But anyway, last time I left you, we were having battery issues, so I was in the middle of being productive, and I really didn't want to quit being productive just because of the battery issues. So I routed out the pickup cavities, And that's all ready to go now. And I got my template scales all drawn out on the body. Alright, so there's literally like 7 steps here. 7 different template levels. And if I go a 1/4 inch with the first one, and then 7, I mean, I'm taking less than a 1/16 of an inch with every pass. I'm not sure yet if I'm gonna go that route or if I'm just gonna be slightly more aggressive and only do like 4 steps. I might just do them all just for safe purposes here, so I don't overfigure and end up with a funny looking carve. But anyway, at this point, I think I'm ready to go. So with that, I guess, masking tape and super glue. I'm going to get the templates in place on the body. Then just for the purpose of not having the tape mess me up in any way, I'm just going to trim all that. I remember when Ben was doing the Ukraine build, he had filled the F-hole with paper towels to prevent paint getting in there. And then he started routering, forgetting the paper towel was in there, and white fluff started running everywhere, and he about had a heart attack for a split second there, wondering what he had hit and what was causing that. So I just like to get the tape out of there so I don't have the same panic attack. Plus, although I know that router's spinning at warp speed and probably wouldn't be much of an issue as far as interference goes, still just want to make sure that I don't throw myself off. Alrighty. We have the router sled all set to go. I have my template in place. I'm going to get this stuff out of the way a minute so I don't knock it over in the middle of routering. Any kind of startling thing like that could result in me having a moment of panic and looking off in that direction and blowing through something I didn't want to, so PPE. Wear your PPE, people. I'm a PPE guy. I'm a safety guy. Make sure you're wearing your PPE.
Did you get the sawdust off of them?
Close as I could. Honestly, it won't be the 20th time that I've had a little bit of sawdust in my ears by the time I'm done working in the garage. So, alright. I wonder, maybe leaving it up there is not a bad idea. Alright, so I'm starting with a really shallow bit. So I'm just shaving the first layer. I'm probably going to have to change bits more than once because with the added thickness of the base here, my plunge isn't as good as it was before. But I'm going to have to start out with a super shallow 1/8 inch cutter just for the first layer. It ain't gonna get me down to 1/8 of an inch, or down to 1/4 of an inch depth, but it'll at least get me started with the bearing riding on the bed, or riding on the template. Okay. Turn on the super sucker. Here we go. Prayers would be appreciated.
I scream, no words enough. My dreams begin to dissolve. I see the coming of death. I breathe my last dying breath.
Yeah, so after a whole bunch of farting around, I came to the conclusion that the problem here is not how thick the template is or how short the router bit shank is or anything like that. My problem was everything to do with the fact that my router sled base was set too thick and too high up to work. So anyway, long story short, I modified the riser plates. So when you look at this, you've got the base, which the router is mounted to. You've got the base. Then you've got the roller bearings, and this piece right here is the interconnection between the roller bearings and the riser. Well, the riser that I had there was that thick. So you can see that is taking up my depth of cut when this base plate is sitting up a 1/2 inch higher than it should be, because it was mounted right here. So it was a 1/2 inch higher up from the project. So by making that 1/2 inch longer, you can see this now is pretty much, and just slightly protruding, pretty much flush with the base of these now. Because before it was a 1/2 inch higher than the base of these. So yeah, anyway, it was resulting in me not being able to get down to my depth of cut where I needed it to be. So I killed I don't know, good hour and a half farting around with that instead of building a guitar. But now that I have that sorted, oh, and I also wasted time making a thicker template thinking that was the problem, only to find out that that didn't solve my issue at all. It just made it so that the router sled wouldn't roll over the template. Yeah, I'm
You're on the struggle
trying
bus
to do,
today.
yeah, I'm trying to do my deep breathing exercises here because I'm a little bit frustrated, but there's a big difference between frustrated and giving up. I may be frustrated, but I ain't giving up. So, let's go to town.
Ernest Hemingway once wrote, "The world is a fine place and worth fighting for." I agree with the second part.
Guns in our schools, drugs in our streets, babies dying hungry,
Alright. Well, that was a lot of messing around. But I think I'm done with routing for a little while anyway. So the next step is going to be remove the router sled and stow it away so I can then prepare to do the next phase, which is going to be carving. Carving, carving, carving.